Good morning again. Today we're wearing orange. And we're wearing orange to, celebrate is not the right word, I don't think, to say that we're celebrating the persecution of the church. So let's go with in remembrance of. How's that sound? Anyway, November 4th was the official World International Day of Prayer for the persecuted church. And so I'm not sure why we didn't do it then, but Ben said we're doing it today. So here we go. So I've got a couple of videos I want to show you this morning. And then I've got some statistics to share with you. It's kind of bad news for the church, but it started some 2,000 years ago, so nothing new under the sun, as they say. If you want to tune that baby up, do you need the lights off to show the video?
Probably not.
Maybe that shade down.
That shade?
That one.
God alone knows. God alone knows. We have something more important than anything else that makes us stay in the country. What that something is the life-giving message from the Lord. And we are kind of ambassadors of the Lord. We know that many countries that withdrew their ambassadors, which is bad enough, but if heaven withdrew its ambassador from the country, it's a disaster. Our privilege is not that we are able to leave. Our privilege is that we are able to stay for such a time in the country.
Very obvious that the Lord is doing something amazing. Many people are coming to the Lord, and many people say, we thank God, although we lost everything, but we still we won our souls, or we won Christ in our lives. And the Lord is working, and actually the church have a vision that this is the time for the church, this is the day for the church.
There is a lady in Homs area who insisted to stay during this difficult times. She goes from home to home and check on children because she's a Sunday school teacher, and she tries to keep the children busy with Bible verses. She memorizes those Bible verses with them on the phone, and then she goes and visit with them, and they would say it by heart to her. She's risking her life literally every day, just to check on those families and see what they need, give them some support, buy them meat and bread and stuff like that. She is a true soldier of Christ during this difficult time. Who dares to go to Homs these days? I mean, it's very risky, very, very dangerous. Yet, she is doing this on a daily basis.
You can be part of this battle in praying on your knees against those powers of darkness and against the bloodshed and the evil that is spreading in our country. And we never lose hope. We know that on the road to Damascus, the Lord Jesus Christ changed a terrorist called Saul into Paul. And we still have this faith because Jesus is the same. He is still the sovereign Lord who can change the hardest hearts and convert the vilest sinners and make them saints.
mare? Nu asta? Vă ajută copilul?
Da?
O, ce drăguție. Pizza? Pizza, nu?
On February 29th, 1948, a pastor was kidnapped from the streets of Romania. He would disappear for 14 years and endure horrific torture for his refusal to renounce Christ. And in the midst of this suffering, he witnessed the incredible power of Christ's love.
After being arrested, I spent the next 3 years in a solitary cell. It was enough to drive any man mad. The martyr Savonarola wrote, "There are those who believe in God, and those who, just as sincerely, believe that they believe." Now I had to ask myself, did I believe in God?
We are persecuted but not abandoned. So please do not abandon us.
My wife Sabina had also been arrested.
So
Deschide ușa! Sabina Wolfram!
My son Mihail, left orphan. Sabina would spend the next 18 months in a slave labor camp on the Danube.
Sabina! Sabina!
In these my darkest hours, my only hope was in prayer. Of course, in prison, prayer was forbidden. In spite of the beatings, I prayed every day. I prayed God would give me strength to endure. And of course, I prayed for my family. My feet were beaten so often and so brutally, I would never walk normally again. I'm sorry if a crocodile eats a man, but I cannot reproach the crocodile. I had learned the same can be said of my torturers. Communism had stripped them of any form of humanity, and only God's love could restore them.
Iar te rogi, mă? Iar te rogi? Ești tâmpit! Băiatul tău nu mai are casă, nevastă ta e arestată! Viața ta e distrusă, mă, băiatule, și tu te rogi în continuare la Dumnezeul ăla tău care nici măcar n-are chip! ce căcate mai rogi, mă? Pentru ce te mai rogi tu acum?
Mă rugam pentru tine.
I hated the sin, but never the sinner. And some we even won to Christ.
It's another lovely afternoon, right? It's a sad thing that mankind, in his sinful nature, feels that they have to persecute someone who doesn't believe the way they do. And, you know, I always wondered, remember back in the days when the Catholics and the Protestants in Ireland were fighting all the time. And my thought was, well, can't we all just get along? I mean, what difference does it make if you go to the Catholic Church and you go to the Protestant Church? You don't have to fight over that. But apparently mankind, because of the actions of the devil, they do. So I want to share with you a few of the facts that I downloaded off the internet to just show you kind of how bad it really is. It says more Christians were martyred in the 20th century than any other century combined. So it's getting worse. Over 90,000 Christians have been killed in the past year, which estimates to one death every 6 minutes on average. That's a lot. Between 2006 and 2011, there were 145 countries where Christians were being harassed in some way because of their beliefs. The Center for the Study of Biblical Christianity, an academic research center that monitors worldwide demographic trends in Christianity, estimates that between 2005 and 2015, 900,000 Christians were martyred, with an average of 90,000 each year. The list of those countries who are some of the worst against persecuted Christians, number one is North Korea. Tens of thousands of Christians are enslaved in labor camps for their faith. The next country is Somalia. The next country is Nigeria. Hundreds of thousands of Christians face massacre in biblical Islamic terror groups Boko Haram. Pakistan, Christians face the constant threat of mob violence due to blasphemy laws, which can lead to the death sentence. Sudan and Syria are two other countries that are deadly upon Christians. It says only 1% of the Syrian refugee camps are Christians because they fear negative persecution from Sunni refugees, identifying them with the regime. The next country is Iraq. It's in the land of Eden, Joshua, and Daniel. Christians have shrunk from 1.5 million to 300,000. And Yemen and India round out the top 10 countries that are the worst for persecuting the church. It's really bad out there, folks. And as of a few weeks ago, we've seen that it's reached our shores. so many, 26 people were murdered and so many were injured in Texas here a few weeks ago. That's the same as persecution. It came from an individual, not groups or other forms of religion or other forms of governments, but I feel it's still persecution. So what should we do about it? Well, I have come up with a plan. I want to organize 1.7 million men, give them M16s, razors, and those are light machine guns for these who don't know, and 50 caliber machine guns, and we'll go straighten those folks out. Oh wait, we've done that and tried that, didn't work. So I guess the next best thing is we just have to pray. That's what God has instructed us to do. Sometimes, as a man, it feels like a lot of futility, but we still need to stay obedient and pray. So, one day we'll all be up in heaven, and we won't have to worry about such things. They will be all put in their place. So with that, I'm going to have Robin come up. He is acting like a Santa Claus this year, once again this year. So he has this program for collecting.
Actually, this blonde-headed guy right here is going to be Santa Claus.
Is he? All right, yeah.
Santa last year, he's going to be Santa this year. First off, I'd like to apologize for such a short notice. I brought a box in last week and I was going to talk about it, but Carolyn got ill and we had to go home. So we got the CDC, the Center for Child Development, sponsors a toy run that a lot of the motorcycle groups, the Christian Motorcycle Group, the Harley Owners Group, and Bikers Against Bullies kind of all get together and we bring toys. The kids there come from, most of them are from fairly poor households, and a lot of the kids are severely handicapped in some way. A lot of the families have multiple children that have special needs. And you know, I might be naive, but I don't remember as many kids that have special needs when I was growing up. Maybe I just was sheltered, I don't know. But it seems like there's a lot of them. And the kids that we provide for without the support would probably have no other form of Christmas. So what I've done, and we've been doing it for a number of years, and the church has been supporting it as well, is we bring a box and we gather toys. We were involved in a toy run that Bikers Against Bullies put on here a couple weeks ago in Missoula, and a portion of that is going to go towards the CDC kids as well. So the Harley Owners Group is gathering toys and a bunch of us. So what I'm asking for you guys to do is pray about it, and if you feel led to bring a new unwrapped toy, please bring it over here and put it in the box. Like I said, we've kind of short fused, and it needs to be done by the 26th of this month, so you only got 2 more weeks. So the toy run itself is on the 2nd. It's in Missoula at I think Missoula Alliance Church. And anybody that feels led to go and see what we do is more than welcome to come. And it's just a very touching, moving thing. I'd asked Deb, who's been Mrs. Santa Claus last year and again this year, if she wanted to say something about what it meant to her to be involved in it. So.
Well, when I was asked to do this, I said yes, but I didn't know it was for special needs kids. I just thought it was for underprivileged kids. And when I got there, I used to be a special needs aide when I lived in Nevada. And my heart is my heart, is for those children. And so last year being Mrs. Santa Claus for these same types of children, because there's a lot of children out there that are poor and need things, but these are not only poor, but they have on top of it special needs to boot. And usually with children with special needs, it has more than one problem. And it was such a rewarding experience. I had a hard time not crying. I guess I'm going to have to put more red cheek stuff on this year, so it's not so obvious. So and so I really do suggest that you donate and you come out and see this, because it is such a rewarding experience. And And plus kept coveting your prayers for these families and how to raise these children and for the children themselves. But that's what I have to say about that.
The toy run itself is on December 2nd, and it's at 11 o'clock at the Alliance Church. It's on Foss Lane, and if you want more information, just give me a call, and I can give you directions to the church or anything else. So,
Okay,
thank you very much.
thank you. All right then, more toys for the kids. Okay, my study for this morning is character. I heard it once said that character is so important that that's the only thing they're going to remember about you when you're gone. Is what kind of a character you were when you were here on this earth. So with that in mind, it says life should be described as living a life of character controlled by the Holy Spirit. Wouldn't that be wonderful if we could do that at all times? This talk that I've kind of prepared here this morning, portions of it were taken from a book by Dr. David Jeremiah. He just recently, anybody know who he is? Yes. He's got a Sunday morning program and very good speaker. Covers lots of good topics and presents them in a very understandable manner. But anyway, he has written this book called Life Beyond Amazing, and it covers what we're basically all the things we're going to briefly talk about here this morning. You can find it on sale on his website, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, is you give a donation and he'll send you the book. So it would be a good thing to look into. So anyway, I want to start this morning by looking at Galatians chapter 5. In verse 23. Excuse me, verse 22 we're starting. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. If these attributes for a person's life comes right on the heels of when God is telling people and mankind what they shouldn't be doing. So I thought it would be better to cover what you should do than what you shouldn't be doing. Because the things you shouldn't be doing come so naturally that we all do them. So this is something that the experience of living a life of love. There's 4 definitions in the Bible or the Greek for love. There's eros, which is the romantic love. That's what teenagers and young adults experience in the beginning of their lives. And sometimes they don't grow out of it, so you go into adulthood, concentrating on eros love. The next is storge. It is for the fondness or affection. It is the natural love that we have built into us. And as examples of that could be your love for your pets, a love for your barber, that kind of relationships. I remember when I was just a little boy, my grandparents were come down to the house for a meal. I don't know, it was Thanksgiving or whatever the meal was. And I was sitting there and I made, now this is memorable, I made the statement that I just love potatoes. And my grandfather jumped all over me and says, "You can't love potatoes. You can love people, but you can't love potatoes." Well, I've grown up now and I disagree with it. So anyway, that is storge. Philos is love of deep friendship. It is strong, intimate, and non-romantic. It's the relationship that we develop for our brothers and sisters, for good friends, and just those that we just care dearly for. It is similar to agape, but there are some limitations to that. As another example of that is, I love my wife and children. They're a deep, strong love. And then there's God's love, agape. It's the highest, purest, and noblest form of love. It's the love of God. That's how He loves us. We have an example of that in that He sent His only begotten Son, as it says. It is unconditional, and it exists for one another regardless of cost. So, as I say, regardless of cost, Jesus gave up His life for His love for us. So, is it possible for us to practice agape love? That's a good challenge for each and every one of us. I don't know if I could do it constantly. It would be very difficult. But in Matthew chapter 5, it says, "You have heard that it was said, 'Love your neighbor and hate your enemy.' But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you." More of what we saw this morning. "That you may be sons of your Father in heaven. He causes His sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. If you love those who love you, what rewards will you get? Are not even the tax collectors doing that?" So that's one passage of Scripture that refers to loving. As we said, the very common one that we all know, is love your neighbor as yourself and love your enemies. I think in some cases that's where you can't come across with agape love. I have a problem with loving my neighbors. But God says I have to. He doesn't say I don't have to like them, surprisingly enough, but I do have to love them. And so, what does that mean? Does that mean when he comes by and his lawnmower and he blows fresh grass over on my freshly raked lawn, I go out and shoot him? No. No, I just have to tolerate, love him, and go rake the grass up again. So, the world love is described as a love that is self-centered. And aren't we all guilty of that? Self-centered. Biblical love is love that other people are centered. So loving others instead of yourself is what love truly is all about. And lastly, love is an action, not a feeling. You know, years and years ago, too many for me to remember, I made a statement to my wife one time, and I says to her, "I think I'm falling in love with you." And at that moment, that was a feeling. I've gotten beyond that. More than feelings involved. It's a true and deep love. So a life of joy. Hebrews chapter 10 says, "Sometimes you were publicly opposed to insult and persecution. At other times, you stood side by side with those who were so treated. You sympathized with those in prison and joyfully accepted the confiscation of your property because you knew that you yourselves as better and lasting possessions. In James it says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know of the testing of your faith develops perseverance." And it's perseverance, and then it goes on, whole long list, and that list ends up with love. Back to love again. So we are created in God's image, and as we know, God is joy. He brings great joy to himself. His creation made him joyful. We make him joyful. Happiness and joy are similar, but they are not the same. Happiness is an emotion of the moment, or something or someone has made you happy. Example of that, Denver Broncos won the Super Bowl. That made me happy. As long as others, of course. So we are happy to get a Christmas present. We're happy to get a new car. We're happy when the wife gets over being mad at you. It goes on and on and on. Happiness. However, joy is an inner peace with God when everything around you is going up in smoke. Tough times hit you, maybe illness, something is family members ill, or catastrophes happen in your life. But knowing Jesus is with you and having joy in that fact helps you get through those times in your life. Living a life of peace, or in the old country, shalom. In John 14, it says, "But the Counselor, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father has sent in my name, will teach you all things and will remind you of everything I have said to you. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your heart be troubled, and do not be afraid." So God has spoken that he has given us peace. We do have the ability to have peace, and sometimes it's a decision that we have to make that we have peace. In Colossians it says, "Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, since as members of one body you were called to peace, and be thankful." Some people believe peace is the absence of anxiety. I would say, or apply that concept to those who worry a lot. If you're worrying, sinning, as I say, it's very difficult to have peace when you are at struggles and with odds. So, don't worry, be happy, as it says. So peace is a sense of well-being, such as knowing Christ is with you no matter what is going on in your life. If we can just simply take a moment to remember that. We get so focused on the things going on in your life, it's difficult to remember that he is there, he's waiting for us to ask for help, and through that will give us peace. You gain peace having faith in Christ and trusting in him. You have peace by studying his word, sharing with others their stories of faith and testimonies of those things that's happened in their lives, and by concentrating on him, not yourselves. Living a life of patience. And I looked at some other versions of the Bible that use the term long-suffering or endurance. In James 5, it says, "Be patient then, brothers, until the Lord's coming. See now the farmer waits in the land to yield a valuable crop, and how patient he is for the autumn and spring rains. You too, be patient and stand firm, because the Lord's coming is near." Is patient hard? Let me tell you a few stories. And I'm with Glenn. The guy driving 45 miles an hour and a 65 miles an hour drives me crazy. And my poor wife, she has to listen to me. I try not to verbalize my feelings, but it leaks out from time to time. So anyway, but some days I have to say to myself, okay, I am going to practice patience today. Haven't got through the day yet, but we're still working on it. So in 2 Peter it says, "Bear in mind that our Lord's patience means salvation." Boy, isn't that true? If the Lord didn't have patience, would we all be sitting here today? I don't think so, because he went through the plan of salvation that we may be with him, and that's an expression of his patience for us. So endurance gives us an idea of never giving up, and isn't that so true? Life is not a 100-yard dash, it's a marathon, and for some of us it's a long marathon, right, Tim? He's the oldest guy I know of in here. So. It says, every day we get up, it's a new day with new challenges. And that's so true. One time I got a phone call. I was at work, got this phone call. And I got this guy on the phone and he said, "Bob, I know you've read the material I sent you 3 or 4 weeks ago, and there now is an opportunity for you to capitalize on. Some oil company in Brazil has made this wonderful discovery of oil, and you have the opportunity to get in on the ground floor." And so I get the guy stopped. I said, "Well, first of all, I don't remember receiving anything," which I didn't receive anything, by the way. He's relying on I didn't have a memory to know. So anyway, so then I just finally told the guy, I said, when I got up this morning, I thought to myself, yes, I'm going to invest tens of thousands of dollars with somebody I've never heard of before into a risky venture. I just think I should do that. And I hung up. So, every day is a challenge. You're going to experience things every day. We will have endurance when we focus on what we have in store. Am I on the right line? Long suffering and patience, yes. We have endurance when we focus on what is in store for us at the end of the trail. And what is that? The rapture, and we go home. That's a good thing. It says in 2 Timothy, here's where at least my heart is, "For I have already been poured out like a drink offering, and the time has come for my departure. I have fought the good fight, I have finished the race, I have kept the faith." Isn't that a wonderful thought that we could live a life that we could do that? So we now have a life of kindness. Jeremiah puts it, "But let him who boast about this, that he understands and knows me, that I am the Lord, who exercises kindness, justice, righteousness on earth, and in these I delight, declares the Lord." Kindness or compassion. in some people, it's very easy to be kind to others. Then there's some that just aren't very kind. I don't find it too difficult. It may not be me, but I'm kind. So here's an example in the Bible of someone being kind. A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho when he fell into the hands of robbers. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead. A priest happened to be going down the same road, and when he saw the man, he passed by on the other side. So too, a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, passed by on the other side. So these guys didn't want anything to do with him. They crossed the street and passed him by. But a Samaritan, this unclean Jew that nobody liked, that the Jewish people didn't like, as he traveled, came where the man was. And when he saw him, he took pity on him. He went to him and bound his wounds, poured out oil and wine, and then he put the man on his own donkey, took him to an inn, and took care of him. The next day he took out 2 silver coins and gave them to the innkeeper. Look after him, he said, and when I return I will reimburse you if there are any extra expenses for you. So we went beyond what might be even expected of someone. He was definitely a kind and compassionate person. Another story in the Bible is about the prodigal son. This rotten, no-good kid asked for his inheritance before the old man was even gone. You know, my response to that was, what do you think you're doing? What do you think you're even going to get one? You know, I've developed this new saying: when I spend money, I tell people I'm spending my kids' inheritance. You know, because at this point in my life, whatever I don't spend now, they get. So that's something you kind of come to realize as you get older. That's going to happen to us, folks. For sure. Having compassion on those around you results in good things. That's just the way it works. So, time gets away so quick. Life of goodness. 2 Peter, for this very reason, make every effort to add to your faith goodness, and to goodness knowledge, and to knowledge self-control, to self-control perseverance, and to perseverance godliness, to godliness brotherly kindness, and to brotherly kindness love. That is quite a chain of things that happen. They're all good things. Life is not about what is in your checking account. It's all about what's in your heart. And you know, mankind always lives for money, and that's their goal in life. And they make money, they're idols, and all of that. But in the bottom line, it's all about what's in your heart. Just like the sample of tithing. God doesn't need your money. He can make as much as He wants. But He wants to know what your attitude is. Are you going to trust in Him? And that's where it's all about. So with that, I think I've got 3 or 4 more, but I'm going to save those for another day. So I do have in your bulletins, I've got reflecting on the fruits of the Spirit. Those are things that you can ask yourself each day or under each circumstance. When you run into situations in life, just we'll check back with this and just ask yourself these questions on how you're doing. Are you living a godly life, or are you letting your carnal nature take over? So these are good things. I also have here a cool little Bible study on fruits of the Spirit. This is 15, 20 pages here. If anybody would like to copy of this and go through it, it goes through an introduction, the types of love, and then it goes through exploring the passage, and it gives you a passage to read, and then it asks you some questions about that. Good information, and it would work for a small group study or for yourself. So if you want a copy of this, let me know, and I'll have Lori, our copy lady, mash one out for you. So with that, can I borrow your book? I'm going to do the announcements first. Operation Christmas Child. Deadline for bringing your boxes was at 9 o'clock this morning. Are you late? Tim and Shelley, they're in charge of all that. Do you know if we've got volunteers signed up for helping at the other church?
I had somebody sign up today, one person, but we still, if anyone else is interested, there are some other slots still available.
Okay, so the sheet
And
is
it's over
over
on the credenza.
Okay.
And just let me know if you do sign up, so I can get Jerry Sue at the Community Baptist Church know.
Okay, all right, so if you want to spend a couple hours of the day, that's about how much it takes, or?
Couple hours.
Yes, 2 hours, and
Okay.
what they do is just help people bring the boxes in, and then the larger boxes, you pack them in there.
Okay.
It's not hard work, but many hands are needed.
Okay, we have Thanksgiving baskets will be available. Would you like to explain that? Where are you?
Well, she's not here, but over on the credenza is a sign-up sheet for what you might want to, food items that you might want to donate, or trying to line it up for 10 different families.
Okay, so we do have some families. That's one of the questions I was.
I don't know that we have the families. We're looking for them. That's
Okay.
what Ben said, yeah.
All right, so we've got that in process.
The sign-up sheet is over there.
Okay, good. Great. It's always fun to go give, I call care packages to people who were not expecting them. They get the most pleasant look on their face, or surprised look on their face, but they always never say no. They're so happy to get those, so it's a good thing. International Day of Prayer resources on the cadenza. Does anyone know what that is all about? So go study the credenza. International Day of Prayer resources. So there must be some information there. Christian Motorcyclist Association toy run. You talked, is that what you were talking about there today? So if you could bring it next Sunday?
Next Sunday or through the 26th, so there's 2 more weeks.
Okay.
I'm going to apologize for such a short notice. I meant to get here sooner.
Okay. Well, how long does it take to run down and get a toy?
Depends on where you're running to. Or if you're driving.
Hey, you still have time to get it from eBay, okay? You're okay there. Order it this afternoon, it'll be here Friday. And if you want to get sucked into their program, you can have it the next day. I don't recommend that. After the service today, we've got prayer for unsaved saved loved ones. Unloved saved ones. Maybe there's a few of those out there too. I'm not so sure about that one. All right. Okay. Any other announcements? Thank you. Okay, I have a couple. We've got the Thanksgiving meals taken care of. We have one need that we want to address, or I want to address today. And it's for our prayer warrior Vivian. She's over here toothless, or going to be toothless.
I'm going to have
And she just has a hard time eating turkey with no teeth. So anyway, she's got to go this large expense of have some teeth removed and go get impressions and go through the denture process and then learn how to eat again and to talk and to whistle and all those things that go along with those things. So we're asking that she is on such a fixed income that if anybody would like to participate in helping her with that cause, why, you can write a check and put Vivian on the memo line, or you can grab an envelope and just put her name on the envelope if you're going to use cash. I know she would appreciate it. So,
Can I say something?
you bet.
The church already did that.
I know. I know
don't
that.
need anything for them. My girls took me
Yes.
to supper last night, and they gave me enough for the upper too. So I'm going to have a whole new set of teeth in my mouth, and hopefully I'll be able to whistle. I never could
What a novel idea, right? Yes, but I want to give the opportunity for the folks here to help you if they so choose.
I know. It has just been such a blessing this whole autumn.
Well, yeah, Glenn told me that your banker was quite surprised.
It's the whole day. She about flew off of her chair, and she was so happy and telling. And it was so quiet in there that everybody heard. And so everybody knows that this church
Takes care of its own.
takes care.
Thank you. Yes.
And it's awesome. I think that witness and that testimony and my kids, it's going around and around this whole country.
Well,
I have so many of them.
Oh, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Well, once again, it's a wonderful thing that you folks are so generous, and God thanks you, the leadership thanks you, and those who receive your help, thank you. So, and speaking of thank yous, I want to thank all of you who participated in the Pastor Appreciation. We collected a very tidy sum that we could get some gifts for the pastor and his wife. Do you want to say anything about that? That's a no. They're going to get something, let's put it that way.
We're pretty much, I think everybody knows, we're pretty much doing really similar to what we did last year with the gift cards, and we just present them with some nice.
And you think somebody remembers what happened last year? Only you would know that.
Come next week and you'll see.
Okay, next week, the big presentation is going to take place, and that's good. So, okay, I'm going to ask Matthew to come up and do our share and prayer time. We'll be done after he's done. Okay, thank you. And remember, the persecuted church.